Hey, what an exciting morning it is today. So excited, can't even begin this podcast the right way, but I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today. As always, I am excited to have the privilege to introduce this Conquistador Podcast. And as you know, we have been on a journey here, if I can call it that way, and sharing some of the secrets that have helped my mentor, my partner, who is with us every single day, Monday through Friday, to talk about the things he has done in order to be able to build, more than two multi-billion-dollar companies. And I say that because there's a third one on the way. And today we're going to talk about what is required to really build something big. What he means by being committed and staying committed to holding meetings and making sure that these meetings are high octane. So Hubert, I salute you this morning. How are you?
Doing great. Great to be with all the great entrepreneurs out there this week. It's going to be a great week.
Awesome. Well, one of the things that you always say in your meetings, in the great events that you hold, is that if you want to build something big, you've got to be committed to holding the meeting. And I hear you repeat that quite often to make sure that we all kind of understand what you mean by that.
All right. Well, hey, it's a great way to kick it off here. In fact, anybody that's been with me for the last 30, 40 years building these teams, one of my favorite mottos is hold-a-meeting. Hold a meeting. I don't care what anybody brings to me. Says, Hubert, I've got this situation. I got that situation. All I'm going to do is tell them to hold a meeting. Hold a meeting. They'll say, well, what do you mean hold a meeting? I said, any kind of meeting. It could be one-on-one meetings. It could be a small group meeting. It could be in your home. It could be in their home. It could be in their office. It could be in a hotel. It could be on Zoom. It could be a big meeting. And then it could be a big meeting. We've had big meetings with 25, 30, 35,000 people in meetings. So the size of the meeting goes from one to thousands. But it's hold a meeting. And the key is it creates the magic of this whole thing. And the whole point of it all is that if you're going to be in the sell the dream business, the real sell the dream business, and I mean, when I say a dream, I don't mean some nightmare. I don't mean some fantasy thing. I'm talking about something that truly can come true for them, a better way of life, whatever it is that they desire in life to come true. If we're offering them that opportunity to do that, it has to be sold with not rah type motivation. But energy, the motivation is what it just really means to move something, to motor something, to move something, and it takes energy to move anything, and it takes energy. It takes energy to move me. It takes energy to. If I was talking to you about an opportunity, I've got to have enough energy to make it makes me be more animated, and persuasive, and interesting, and then it's got to be able to move you. And so I call it a high-octane motivation type fuel. That's what the whole thing runs on.
That's good. Now, a lot of people may be under the impression that that they have to have these bigger-than-life events when you're getting started, and that may not necessarily be the thing. You could probably create what you call a high-octane motivation environment, even if it's a one-on-one meeting.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you're starting out. I mean, what when you're starting out, it's what you do one-on-one, and then as you get some new people on board with you, if you're building a team of leaders that are going to help you, it's what they do one-on-one. Then you have regularly scheduled meetings with the proper frequency, and so that everything feeds into it. And to me, the one thing about a meeting when it goes beyond just one-on-one is you get the magic of the crowds. There's something about having a bunch of people on a Zoom or a bunch of people at a business opportunity presentation meeting or a big event. It's just something about those people. If you've got 3 people at one of these events and there's 40 people there, well, that means there's 37 other people on other people's teams that you're borrowing to help motivate your 3 people. So you're getting to use and leverage all the other people. So meetings create the ability to have the crowd and the environment. We've talked on previous shows that you don't recruit people to a company or to a product or anything like you recruit people to an environment, to an atmosphere, and being able to have good energy at meetings, from one-on-one to the biggest meetings, is where that environment comes from. It causes people to go through a conversion process, and that's what you want to do, because ultimately it's how people feel about something, not what they know, it's how they feel. And so this is the whole purpose of this, is to create the proper feelings in somebody's life.
That's awesome. Now, I'm assuming that it's not, if you really want to build something and get momentum going, it's not just holding one big high octane motivational event, but you also talk a lot about the flow, and it's being committed to doing some sort of, 2 times a week, 3 times a week at a minimum. And there's obviously a whole psychology behind that. And so it's not that one thing is more important than the other, whether you want to do these events 2-3 times a week or just do them high octane. It's a combination of the two, but the times a week that you do this is probably as important, if not more.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me just give you a real life example of how over the years I've done, and most of all of our great leaders have done. One-on-ones are being done from early in the morning to late at night, just out finding people, one-on-ones developing the prospect, then one-on-one approaching them and to sit down, set up an appointment to sit down with them, or to invite them to a bop. So you're doing one-on-ones all the time, and then there's the bigger meeting, which is and this is mostly local. Of course, today when you use Zooms and all these types of online type of meetings, there's nothing national is local. Any place you are is local, but you schedule an event where all of a sudden lots of people can feed into that. All these one-on-ones now are driven to the scheduled meeting. I always had one on Tuesday night, Thursday night, and Saturday morning. That was always my rhythm. I didn't want that. I didn't want the gap in that spark plug to be too far. I wanted the excitement and the momentum to have a rhythm to it, and so we'd have that meeting. Then once every month, or worst case 2 months, we'd have sort of like in the old days it was called fast start schools or leadership format schools or something where in your area everybody comes together, and it's like a Friday night and Saturday type deal where sort of just a bigger meeting. All the people in the area come to it. You're doing a little selling the dream, but you're doing vision stretching for your team, and you're doing training on not only systems building training, but sometimes product knowledge and other things. So you have those schools. And then you'll have once a year we have a big convention. Usually we have it in Las Vegas, where thousands and thousands of people come. But that's where that's built up to that size. I remember when we were first starting out. We didn't have a big convention. We had a little small group. The first one A.L. Williams ever went to was down in Point Clear, Alabama, of all places. And then a year later, we were in a bigger place. Within 2 or 3 years, we had one in Vegas. And then several years later, we were out there and we went to Superdome at New Orleans with 35,000 people. So you build up to those bigger meetings, and then they usually kick off the year. We have something like a Top Gun or something where it's a big meeting. So the big meetings, it's kind of like the flow. You mentioned the word flow. It's like the creeks and streams flow into the rivers, and then the rivers flow into bigger rivers, and then the big rivers flow into the ocean. And it's just everything. Everything's moving. It's moving. Everything's contributing to the big. The ocean didn't get to be ocean by itself. It had a lot of other tributaries and things and rivers that flowed into it to keep it replenished. And that's what happens in our business.
Yeah, great message. Obviously, the mentality should be no matter if you're in front of one person, whether it is in your office or on a Zoom. The mentality is high octane, which means motivation's really excited when you're sharing whatever it is that you're doing. In our case, obviously, we share what the mission we're in, right? What we're building and everything. But are there a formula, elements that have to be included in one of these meetings to make it high octane? above and beyond just the excitement. I know in the end, like I know you take the opportunity of these meetings to always recognize people. That's what I'm kind of talking about. You bring other wow factors into the picture. Sometimes even speakers and I'm not saying that you need to do that right off the get-go, right to at the start, but share some of these things that you've incorporated in these high octane meetings that have really, created that big impact in those who attend.
Well, that's right. And again, the high octane motivation, that sounds like a big scary word, but like you and I talking today, we're very excited about what we do, and we have high octane. That doesn't mean we're going rah rah. We're just jumping through the screen to people, but there's got to be internal energy and excitement. And usually, if your vision is stretched and you can see a great picture of something, that provides you the energy. And if you've got some goals and plans, and all of a sudden you know that you're on the verge of finding something to make them come true, that gives you energy. So anyway, energy is. The energy comes from several places. It comes from internal. It comes from a team, a smaller team, where you're doing local stuff. There's local recognition. There's in a typical meeting, you're resetting the dream of what's the mission of your company? What is it you're trying to accomplish? Why should people want to join you? What's in it for them? How, and what's the system by which they're going to succeed? What's products or services or concepts are you going to offer to the people? Is there a good crusade behind all of it? So what's your mission statement? All those things are there, plus obviously parts of any event. You're going to recognize the person that had the most people invited to the meeting, the person that was the best producer for the week, the best producer for the year. The bigger the event and the bigger the stage, the bigger the awards. So you're going to have all those things in there. So you got internal, you got teams organic momentum or motivation, but then you've got the bigger power of crowds that come from all this motivation. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the people are there to do it, and it's critical. I mean, the elements are big recognition. We give away trophies, and we've given away cars. Trips. We take them to Hawaii and all over. We trips to Europe. All kinds of things. It's different trips for different purposes, but all of it is a part of a systematic flow of running a motivation machine, starting with a person's personal motivation to the one-on-ones to the feeds into the giant meetings. It's always about trying to move. In fact, the three parts of our whole business model is one is recruiter's mentality, number two is a builder's mindset, and number three is be a director of motivation. So ultimately, as you're building your team, whether it's a small team or it grows into a big team or a giant team, number three you have to really practice it, and that's being a director of motivation. That doesn't mean you got to be the big rah-rah speaker. It means you just know how to direct people to the proper events, and the events have to be scheduled, and that you get people to get them to some place to where they can kind of have a different experience. Get them outside of their normal environment where they can feel and see other people, and they can get recognized in front of their peers. They can have an experience unlike anything they can do on their own. That's what we've always tried to do for the last 35 to 40 years, is to create experiences that these people never in a million years would have experienced anywhere else. Some people can go pay for a trip to Hawaii. Yeah, you go buy a ticket on a plane, go to Europe maybe or something. But it's different when you're going with your peers and you're going there because you've achieved something great and you're on a historic trip with a bunch of wonderful people. It's a different element. So all of that is so important. If you take that out of an organization, you basically have taken the spirit out of it. You let all the oxygen out of it. You've sucked all the life out of the entity. You've got recruiting's the lifeblood, but motivation is the oxygen that it has to have to breathe and to grow.
Well, there you have it, guys. I couldn't put it in better words. You heard from the architect of the system himself, and I think that when he says that the machinery that runs, the soul, the spirit of the company is actually having and holding these meetings, we all have to really take it seriously. How important these things are. So with that being said, today, Hubert, I think it's time to wrap it up for today. I think the message is there. And I do want to remind everybody that this podcast is being sponsored by Hegemon Group International. They believe in what we're doing with this podcast. And if you want to check out their opportunity, because they've got the best opportunity in America today. And what kind of opportunity? A business opportunity. I know that if you're listening to this podcast, you are an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneurial minded, at least. You would like to have a business, run a business, and there's no better place today to get your hands on a system that is going to help you really build something big in the best industry in the world. So go check them out right now by going to HCIopportunity.com. That is HCIopportunity.com. And you can thank me later. Hubert, with that being said, I want to wish you a great day today, and I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you, everybody.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.